Yazoo's, smash one-hit wonder.
All I needed was the love you gave.
What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here, and you're watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaze.
And today we turned on Apple TV Plus, whatever that app is called, and we checked out their new film, Fingernails.
All I ever knew, only you.
Fingernails is Apple TV Plus's brand new original film. It's the story of Anna and Ryan that have found true love, and it's proven by a controversial new technology. There's just one problem, as Anna still isn't sure. Then she takes a position at a love testing institute and meets Amir. So this is, like I said, a brand new original film on Apple TV Plus. James, what did you think about this film?
Yeah, so this is a genre of movie that I kind of like miss. It seems like we only get like kind of these movies once a year where it's kind of like a very low-key drama, might have some romance in there. This movie definitely has that, but also a sci-fi element to it, but not like the science fiction that you're thinking of, like for like a James Cameron style movie. Just something more low-key. Movie that we've talked about recently was like After Yang. We've reviewed her on our previous podcast we used to host before going to YouTube. But this movie is very reminiscent of that, and just an interesting future with technology that doesn't exist today but could easily exist, and not too far off from something that we could get in the next coming years. So I really like the concept, and I really love the performances and story overall. I was just talking to someone the other day about how I miss Riz Ahmed. He was in everything for a while, and then just kind of took slower projects. I'm not sure. I just haven't heard of what he's been up to since his Academy Award nominee for Sound of Metal. So it was great to see him back doing well. But overall, the movie, it has some dull elements to it, but overall, I still enjoyed it. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I like that aspect of being like a science fiction movie that still felt like it was in like modern times. Essentially, like, yeah, we're dealing with this technology that doesn't actually exist, in real time, but it's not that far off. I've seen plenty of shows where there was a technology like this, kind of similar, where, we're going to find your perfect match, essentially. And it's not like there aren't those apps out right now that wish that they physically could, find down to the DNA your perfect match. The technology just doesn't exist. So I like that this film, dealt with something that, currently, if people could, monetize in a way that would be, a multi-million-dollar industry probably. But it does take like almost comedic element into it. This film I feel like is like fairly dark, but also takes that comedic element of like, you have to remove your actual fingernail and it hurts very. I mean, I can't even imagine. That's literally a form of torture. Like taking off a fingernail, removing it with some pliers, get those needle nose pliers and just give it a good yank, make sure you bite on a dowel. Absolutely insane. It made for some funny, parts of this film. Like it did make for some funny scenes, but just very dark, very cringy. Like the fact that you'd have to remove an entire fingernail to find out if you're in love with somebody, truly, if this is your perfect match. But also at the same time, like there were people that are doing this that are already, supposedly in love, and now they're testing to see if they actually are, that 100% match, which was kind of crazy. Like I did like seeing the aspect of that. Like, why would you even go in to take the test? I like kind of the moral quandary that this film brings up.
Yeah, exactly, because there's a difference between true love and actually being in love with someone. Like, we all love someone, and, there sometimes it just doesn't work out. I feel like those feelings don't go away, and I like that this movie kind of explores that idea where, like, are you falling out of love, or is it just, like, possibly the wrong person? And I like to see that the love is still there for a lot of the elements within this movie without spoiling too much, but just, like, it's not like it's either 50%, 0%, or 100%. And I like that element of it. And it's just like funny to kind of take it to that like extreme level versus like dating sites where it's like, oh, you're a this percent match. And just like a lot of people sometimes take that too seriously. And, you know, like 100, you might think like it's the best, but like as you can see within this movie too, like, you know, it might not mean all that much what it's made up to be, but it's interesting. I wish like there was some more comedic elements, and like even those nail scenes that were funny, but also like horrifying at times too, especially towards the end of the movie. But yeah, overall, I think like just the only person who felt like they were lacking in kind of like character development was actually her boyfriend, played by the Bear. No, or is that the name of that show, The Bear?
It's The Bear. I don't know. I've never watched the show, so I don't know if he is the Bear. Like, I know the show's called The Bear, but is Jeremy Allen White? Is Jeremy Allen White the Bear? You know, I don't know.
Guess so, yeah. But you know, after watching the movie, I'm just like kind of feel bad for Ryan, but also like, you know, he's just kind of a dull guy overall too. But just like, yeah. And also, I really love seeing Jessie Buckley again. I've only seen her in 2 films. Just that movie I hated on Netflix. I'm thinking about ending things. And then really enjoyed her in Men, though. I know a lot of people weren't a fan of that, but she was fantastic in that movie, and I still highly enjoyed that movie. But I liked seeing her in this role, and her chemistry, even though like, you know, there's difficulty within this movie, I really like seeing her chemistry with Jeremy Allen White as well as Riz Ahmed.
Yeah, I actually am playing a game currently where Jessie Buckley is one of the main characters, and she has the exact same accent in this film and that game. It's the new Dark Pictures, or not new, sorry, it's a couple years old, but Dark Pictures anthology, and it's the latest one. It's called The Devil Within, which is essentially like a Saw kind of story, but done in I guess a video game sense. And she's in it, but I know she's Irish, and she definitely has a different accent, but she's using her American accent in this film as well as in that video game. So it was interesting to see, you know, that again. I do still have to check out Men, of course, but that's definitely on my watch list. But yeah, I enjoyed her performance in this film. Obviously, Riz Ahmed, I think they did great. This film, I feel like, has a kind of interesting ending, and to get into a little bit of spoiler territory, I did like that they kind of left it not totally up for interpretation, but just like, I wonder where the film is going to go after that moment and that last scene that it ends. You know, is she going to go with either guy? We kind of get the interpretation that she's going to go with Riz Ahmed, but as we know, like, that's not really the right calculation technically. I don't know if I'm pretty sure in this film that the calculations don't change, right? Like, it's either 100%, 50% or not. It can't, right. Like, you can't be a 50% with somebody and then go to 100% later, correct?
I mean, I guess it's possible, because if you're getting a retest, I mean, both in both situations of whenever the retests were brought up, I guess they did still technically got the same results. But that does make me think that maybe if someone has done a retest, maybe it has changed in the future. Mm-hmm. So I guess like, just because like, yeah, it might have been 50% when she did both of theirs, maybe it's possible it could turn into 100 later. But again, though, this is kind of just like answers that it's up for interpretation within the movie. It's never really set, I guess. And even Luke Wilson, I know he brings up stuff like at the beginning saying that it is 100% accurate, but like it might mean accurate just in that moment, but it could still change. I'm not sure if they went into that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I do feel like if it's going to change, then what's the difference between taking the test and not, essentially? In a way, like, I feel like it almost invalidifies the test, like, because if it can just change, you know, 100% could be 100% one day. Both people love each other. There's no unrequited love, and then, you know, in a couple months, maybe it you know, one person does fall out of love. But I feel like, you know, it's only whether don't want to really let your partner know. I feel like you'd almost know that, but maybe that's just the way that the test works is different in the film than real life, of course. But yeah, I think I overall enjoyed this movie. I feel like they could have shaved this down to a perfect 90 minutes. I think it was a little bit on the 2-hour side, and it's a nice, quaint little movie. There's no reason that this could have been just shaved down. I think I could easily edit this down to 90 minutes and make it a perfectly quaint movie, but it was a little bit on the longer side for being something that is like an original movie. But overall, just its original sense, like, I enjoyed that. I felt like this wasn't something I've seen recently. And obviously, I mean, if you're going to include Yazoo's, smash one-hit wonder hit on this film, like I'm gonna enjoy the movie.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Yeah. But yeah, this movie, yeah, I went in blind, so I was pleasantly surprised in the sci-fi direction this movie was in. So that makes it stand out. And, you know, I always forget, like, you know, if you have a simple story to tell, but like try to go grand with it in ways that you can. And, you know, this definitely worked out in the case for this movie. Really loved the elements that went into it, and the performances are all great. It's a movie that's probably not going to get the most talk about, but I'm glad that it's kind of on Apple TV just because they don't have a lot of exclusive stuff. So that automatically just puts this movie in their top 10 movies, honestly. Like I was looking at their like top 10 list because we both recently got Apple, and like I assume Godzilla or the Monarch show. Yeah, I believe it's called Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I assume that's going to be number 1 for the next 4 months just because what else is on there?
It's actually
same
2
thing with this movie. Oh, it went down to number 2 now. Oh,
it's
dang,
2. Whatever
cool.
the Brie Larson show is number 1.
Oh, okay.
I only know because it was literally just on my TV, and I noticed like, oh shoot, my Legacy is only 2. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. All of this week it was at number 1 because I've been catching up on that show. But when I watched this movie, though, I saw that when you go to the movie section, it is in the top 10. But I think it's also because they don't have that many movies on there. But also, this is a newer movie though as well too. But yeah, I highly recommend checking it out. It's on Apple. If you have an iPhone or, you know, ever bought any kind of Apple product, you know, check in on that free trial that you get because it's a great way to help support and watch a movie like this. And a great way to help support our show is by watching it, coming back here, letting us know what you thought about the movie. So leave a comment down below.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, be sure to catch all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and we also have our own personal letterbox accounts. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.